Have at thee, foul mammoth! Ladies, gentlemen, and pals of all ages, when it comes to this game, there are so many interesting interactions, hidden little bits of information, goodies, special stuff about pals, or just places that no one has actually been before. And so today we're going to go over a couple of tips and tricks, as well as some just interesting bits of knowledge to gain about this game that could change how you view different parts of it. And the first one that I want to talk about are essentially fake shinies, or at least potentially fake shinies. Since the release of the game, there has been a fair bit of discourse, especially with a number of lower tier, lower level pals, and how they can have potentially extremely rare color variants. We're talking about pink Eikthyr that you can see right here next to a normal one, white Direhowl, or gray Direhowl I suppose, pale Foxpark, silver top Gum Moss. These are the names the community has given them, and the more that I fall down this rabbit hole, the more interesting this gets really, because there's a lot of proof to suggest that this is just how the pals look when they are wet, which happens when being hit by water attacks or just submerging in the ocean or something like that. It drowns out the colors on the pal a little bit while they have this status, makes them a bit more pale, and every one of these examples we have here look exactly like how the pals do when they are wet. However, there are too many people corroborating these stories saying they also have these permanently color changed pals at their base at times when it would make no sense for them to be wet. And so what seems to be going on here in actuality is a glitch, and quite an interesting one. When you catch a pal that is wet, there seems to be some sort of chance that you will keep it in that slightly different color scheme permanently. This doesn't seem purposefully replicable in any way, like you can't just use a couple of water moves and catch a pal and it guaranteed has this permanently swapped color scheme, but my understanding is that there is just a way of catching pals when they are wet that does make them keep the visual application of the status essentially forever. And I just think that's very interesting to be aware of, the fact that you could own a version of this pal that is a slightly different color, not because it is intentionally such, but because of an accidental glitch. Then we have just a smaller tip that you may well have not even known about, which is if you are riding a ground mount and you collide with one of these smaller pals, you will do a pretty decent amount of damage, scaling with the level and attack stat and passives of the pal that you are riding. This seems to only work on ground mount specifically, but my King Paka Freddy can just run through beginner areas, one-shotting every pal he passes over without even having to stop to look at them. Why, do you ask, would I mercilessly slaughter all of these like this? Well, to put it simply, the materials. It's just good farm. It's really efficient time to item ratio, and it's also just honestly mindless entertainment to just ride around chasing things down to slap them in the face with your pal's front end without even having to actually use a move. Then we have a couple of interesting bugs. These are not really replicable, it seems, but they are just incredibly funny interactions that happen occasionally within the game. The first one is a glitch with Ignis Rage, the fire attack, where it will sometimes just sort of break and affect an area about 100 to 1,000 times larger than it's supposed to, and apparently if you reload the area with the right pals, you can actually make it expand even larger and larger, and it just gets to ridiculous proportions. It's just absolutely so silly. After that, another similarly silly bug, and this is Arsox the God. Apparently this was the result of the player dropping and picking up the pal once again. They weren't able to make this happen again, it wasn't replicable, they didn't mention if it ever disappeared either. All we know is in this player's world, there is a kaiju-sized flaming ram just having an absolutely fantastic time, hanging out semi-translucently, and what's not to love about that? After that then, we have a tip that can significantly boost your enjoyment of travel within this game, especially in the early to mid section of the game. Sure, once you have both level 50 on your character and you're also capable of taking down legendaries, the best mount is pretty universally and arguably Jetragon, right? Well, what if I told you that you can get comparable, if not higher speed, but with far more actual stamina in the bar to play with, and you can achieve it far earlier in the game? Well, the answer to this is just a much more involved set of movement mechanics that exist within the physics engine, ways of somewhat abusing said physics to create extra speed, and this is the combination of two methods that have been found in the community so far that have been dubbed the Paraglide Slide and the Slide Boost, but then also combined with the perfect pal to use them with, which is going to be Hang You. The reason for that is while its theoretical speed stat is low while gliding, that is its own natural speed. The beauty of gliders in this game and the way they work mechanically is that they have uncapped speed depending on your own physical momentum when you activate the gliding effect. So if we can create that high speed, the pal's speed stat doesn't actually matter, and instead the part of Hang You that becomes much more relevant is just its absolute refusal to respect gravity, often actually creating lift and making you go higher when you glide with it rather than letting you drop at all. So let's go over how this works and why. First, you start with a grappling hook. Any of the grappling hooks in the game will actually do this. Aim it at the floor somewhere in front of you, a flat surface is ideal. Just as you hit the height height of your speed, which is just before you reach your destination, you want to change weapon off of your grappling hook to cancel the reeling in and press spacebar to start gliding while keeping your momentum. If you time this right, you will start gliding with grappling hook speed, which is pretty nutty to begin with, but then you can make it even faster. If you put a glider away by pressing space or jump, then it will essentially stop your momentum, which is in place to prevent you from just spamming close and open glider to actually gain speed. However, they did not do the same thing if you stop gliding by pressing C, or the slide button. So essentially, if you are gliding with Hang U, which gains height while active, you can cancel glide with C instead of spacebar to keep your current forward momentum, but even gain more because of gravity. Then you press spacebar again to start gliding again, which will bring you back up and give you the height that you lost from dropping. You essentially will never actually lose height because of this, but continually gain momentum because of the gravity of falling, making you move even faster every time you drop the glider and reopen it. This is insanely cool as a movement technique within the game. It takes quite a bit of effort, but once you get used to it, it's really not hard at all, and the speed and distance is insane. And you can do all of this as early as level 20 when you unlock the Hang U gloves. You can even gain more speed when you drop and reglide by spamming left and right a little bit. For whatever reason, you get more speed when turning from one diagonal to the next while falling than you do by just falling forwards. Gravity is weird like that, but that makes this even more effective, and you can essentially just travel the whole map in one chunky stamina bar if you start off high enough. Then we have just an interesting little fact, which is to do with the move fruits in the game. As most of you are probably aware of at this point, you can in fact capture the humans in the game. Pretty much anyone that you come across is able to be put in the sphere. As well, there are skill fruits that teach moves to various pals, and for whatever reason, you can use these skill fruits to teach random pal attacks to humans, like laser beams or bubble blasts, as hilarious as that actually is. Sadly though, they won't actually use them in combat even if you teach it to them, so there's no actual gameplay application to this. It's just funny that you can technically say, hey, this dude knows how to fire a laser beam, he just refuses to show us. Then finally today we have a bit of a celebration more than anything, and I suppose an announcement as well, which is that we have finally breached the final layer of protection and gotten to the giant tree. When you start the game, you are told to seek the tree and all that, and we can obviously see this giant tree over in the distance to the northwest of the playable area of the map, at least outside of the intended playable area. But over time, players have slowly been working their way over there, making it through 2 separate layers of invisible walls before finding a third wall impeding their progress of actually getting to the tree. But Josh, on this channel, just put up a video yesterday showing how he breached this third invisible wall to actually get up and reach the tree, the technical final objective of the game if you want to go off the way that it starts. So go have a look at that video if you want to see what that's all about and all the detail. I just thought it was worth sharing that somebody has actually done that now and telling you where you can actually have a look at it. And that just about does it for today then, everyone. A nice collection of things that you may or may not have known about with Palworld, as well as how to use various more known mechanics to your advantage in ways that you might not have expected. I hope you've learned something from this, or at least just enjoyed seeing it all in action, and hopefully it just improves your enjoyment of the game in some way, shape, or form. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.